After my adoptive parents' biological son was found, he immediately launched into a one-man show, a twisted drama of the long-lost heir. Our perfectly normal home was suddenly littered with cameras he'd installed himself, not even sparing the bathroom. When a faulty camera electrocuted him in the shower, he ended up in the hospital, screaming at my parents with tear-filled eyes that I was trying to get rid of him and insisting they call the cops. At a celebratory dinner at a hotel, he slipped and fell into the swimming pool, but not before grabbing my arm and yanking me in with him. He screamed that I had pushed him, and if he hadn't been quick enough to drag me down too, I would have gotten away with murder. Later, while my parents were out paying our hospital bills, he stared at me with pure venom in his eyes. "Listen to me," he hissed. "I'm not like the other guys in those online stories. I'm not going to just sit back and take it. You can't fool Mom and Dad forever with your nice guy act. I will make sure you are thrown out of this family for good." I almost laughed. The poor, delusional kid had no idea. In this family, the one who built the fortune was me. If I walked away with my assets, he wouldn't be the heir to anything at all. From the day Ryan Miller came home, he turned our lives into a spy thriller. My parents, Mark and Susan, ushered him in, their hands ringing with nervous energy as they gestured at the designer furniture and art filling the spacious Denver home. "Ryan, this is your home now," Mark said, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm so sorry for everything you've been through." Ryan, dressed in a faded denim jacket and worn-out jeans, scanned every corner of the room like a detective casing a joint. His eyes finally landed on me. "So this is the adopted one?" he asked, his chin tilted up in a way that left no room for goodwill. I set down my copy of the Wall Street Journal and extended a hand with a smile. "It's good to meet you, Ryan. I am Caleb." He ignored my hand, scoffing before turning to our parents. "Mom, Dad, now that I'm back, don't you think we need to set some ground rules? I'm not comfortable with outsiders around." Mark and Susan exchanged an awkward glance. My dad, ever the peacemaker, rushed to smooth things over. "Ryan, Caleb is your older brother. For the last 10 years, he's been the one holding this family up." "Holding the family up?" Ryan cut him off. "You mean with the resources that should have been mine? He's been squatting in my life for years. It's time he paid it all back." I sighed internally. The kid had clearly been mainlining switched at birth, dramas online, and had cast himself as the victim. I decided not to engage. He'd been lost to the system for 20 years. It was understandable he'd be messed up. Besides, my adoptive parents had been my salvation, and I wouldn't make things harder for them. "You're right," I said, stepping back. "Mom, Dad, Ryan's just gotten here and probably needs time to adjust. I have some work to finish at the office anyway, so I'll grab dinner out tonight." I thought my concession might buy us some peace. I was wrong. It was just the beginning of the nightmare. The next day, I came home to find the house transformed. Cheap, off-brand security cameras were mounted everywhere. In the hallways, the living room even pointed at my study door. Their little red lights blinked like 100 prying eyes. I found Ryan directing a handyman and frowned. "What is all this?" Ryan crossed his arms, his expression defiant. "It's for my own protection. Who knows who might be trying to harm me in this house? After all, I'm standing in someone's way." I rubbed my forehead. "Ryan, this house has a state-of-the-art security system, the best in Denver. We have guards who patrol hourly. This is unnecessary." "Of course you'd say that. You have everything to gain," he sneered. "Mom and Dad already approved it. What right do you, an adopted son, have to object?" My parents stood nearby, looking helpless. Susan tugged on my sleeve and whispered, "Caleb, he said he was bullied in the foster system and doesn't feel safe. Just let him be for now." Looking at the gray in her hair and the guilt in her eyes, I sighed and dropped the subject. But I never imagined his paranoia was this dangerously unhinged. That evening, as I was getting ready for bed, a piercing scream came from the bathroom, followed by a heavy thud. My parents and I burst in to find Ryan on the floor, soaking wet and convulsing. Next to him, a camera, sparks still sputtering from its casing, was half submerged in a puddle. He'd actually installed a camera in the shower, a cheap piece of junk that had shorted out from the steam. The ambulance wailed its way to our curb. Ryan was rushed to the ER. Luckily, we'd found him quickly. He'd suffered only a minor shock and a bad scare. His life wasn't in danger. But the first thing Ryan did when he woke up was point a trembling finger at my nose and scream, "He's tried to kill me. He tried to kill me. The doctors and nurses in the room froze. Ryan, stop this. My mom pleaded, holding his shoulders. Your brother was the one who called 911. It was him. Ryan's eyes were bloodshot with a venomous hatred. I just installed that camera. How could you short out like that? He must have tampered with it. He was afraid I'd capture his dirty secrets, so he tried to electrocute me. He frantically dialed 911 himself, shouting that he wanted me arrested and thrown in jail. The police investigated. The conclusion was swift. The camera was an uncertified, no-name product installed improperly in a high-moisture environment, causing a short circuit. It had nothing to do with anyone else. As the officers left, one gave Ryan a piece of fatherly advice. Look, kid, it's good to be cautious, but a camera in the shower, that's not just dangerous, it's a major privacy violation. Maybe lay off the weird internet conspiracy videos for a while. Ryan's face cycled through shades of red and white. Dad patted his back soothingly. It's okay, son. It was just a misunderstanding. Let's not install any more of those, okay? Caleb's a good man. He would never hurt you. Ryan lowered his head, but through his hair, he shot me a look that said, you got lucky this time. It won't be so easy next time. I shook my head and walked out of the room. I had my assistant, Ben, arrange for a private VIP suite for Ryan, with all costs charged directly to my account. There was no point in arguing with a kid 7 years my junior. I figured after a few days, he'd realize I wasn't after anything he had. I never anticipated the sheer depth of his malice. On the day he was discharged, Ryan suddenly asked our parents, why wasn't there a welcome home party? Mark and Susan just stared at him, confused. Ryan frowned, his tone one of utter entitlement. Miller Industries is a huge company. When you find your long-lost son, shouldn't you throw a massive party to announce his return to the whole city? Why didn't I get one? Was it Caleb? Did he stop you? Was he afraid I'd steal his spotlight? I had been resting my eyes in the passenger seat, but they snapped open at that. My parents had been laid off from factory jobs years ago. They supported me through school by running a food truck. It was only after I founded Miller Industries and took it public that I moved them into this life of comfort. We came from humble beginnings and didn't care for high society formalities. His demand left them speechless. But then I considered it. He was a 20-year-old kid. He probably wanted the validation, a sense of ceremony. Fine, I said. We'll go to the Hilton. I'll book a private room. We can have a nice family dinner. Ryan sniffed contemptuously. That's more like it. Little did I know, it was just the prelude to another disaster. When it was time to order, he went straight for the most expensive items. Maine lobster, Alaskan king crab, and a bottle of your most expensive Cabernet, Ryan announced to the waiter, acting like a caricature of new money. The waiter glanced at me for confirmation. I nodded. Bring it. Ryan shot me a smug look. You don't mind, do you, brother? After 20 years of eating garbage in foster care, I think I deserve something nice. Not at all, I said flatly. As long as you can stomach it. Throughout the meal, Ryan relentlessly fed his warped narrative to our parents. Mom, Dad, you have no idea how twisted these imposter sons can be. They act all sweet and obedient, but behind your backs, they're funneling your money away. You need to keep a close eye on your bank accounts and the deed to the house. My hand holding a steak knife paused. Bank accounts? The deed? My parents did have a small, run-down condo in their name, and maybe a few $1,000s in their retirement account. The mansion, the luxury cars, the company shares, they were all in my name. My parents looked down at their plates, too embarrassed to respond. Ryan pressed on. So, Caleb, what's your job at the company? What's your salary? When I join the company, you'd better be ready to show me the ropes. After all, Miller Industries will be in my hands sooner or later. I put down my silverware and wiped my mouth. I do a bit of everything at the company. As for you taking over, maybe after you graduate from college. What's with the attitude? Ryan slammed his fork down. I am the sole heir to the Miller family. I'll join the company whenever I damn well please. To diffuse the tension, my dad suggested a walk by the hotel's poolside terrace. I was turned, talking to my parents, when Ryan suddenly yelped, "Whoa!" In the next second, a hand clamped onto my arm and yanked me backward with incredible force. He had intentionally lost his balance, pitching toward the pool, but his grip on me was a vice. He was pulling me in with him. A huge splash erupted as we hit the water. The late autumn chill was a brutal shock. I'm a decent swimmer, but my heavy wool coat became a lead weight the moment it was soaked. Worse, Ryan clung to me like an octopus, screaming while trying to push my head underwater. Help! Help me! Caleb's trying to kill me. He thrashed wildly, his nails digging into my neck. I swallowed mouthfuls of chlorinated water, my lungs burning. The hotel lifeguard was on it in seconds, diving in and hauling us both out. I sat by the edge of the pool, drenched and disheveled, gasping for air. Ryan looked even worse, his hair matted to his head like a drowned rat. But his energy was boundless. The moment he was out, he scrambled over to my parents, who had just rushed over, and pointed at me. Mom! Dad! He pushed me. He tried to drown me, he shrieked. If I hadn't reacted fast enough to grab him, he would have killed me. He's a monster. Just because I said I wanted to join the company, he tried to murder me. Other diners stared, pointing and whispering. I wiped the water from my face and looked at him, my voice cold. Ryan, there are security cameras all over the pool deck. He flinched for a split second, then yelled even louder. You probably paid them off to tamper with the footage. You have money, you have power, you can fake anything. My life is so unfair. My mother sighed. Let's just stop fighting and get to the hospital. You'll both catch pneumonia in this weather. And so, the four of us ended up back at the hospital. My parents bustled around, getting us warm blankets, paying for the checkups, and picking up prescriptions. When they stepped out to handle the bill, Ryan and I were left alone in a shared room. The moment the door closed, Ryan, who had been moaning weakly, sat bolt upright. He ripped the 4-needle from the back of his hand and padded barefoot over to my bed. His pale face was twisted into a grin that didn't belong on someone his age. So, Caleb, how did that feel? I leaned back against the pillows, watching him calmly. Not bad. A little better than your faulty camera, I'd say. Ew, he sputtered, then leaned in close, his voice a vicious whisper. Let me tell you something. I'm not like the chumps in those stories. I've read more of them than you've had hot dinners. I know all the tricks you phony, manipulative sons use. You think you can just act all calm and collected and hide the fact that you stole my life. Let me tell you, Mom and Dad will see through you eventually. Blood is thicker than water. They'll be on my side soon enough. He got more and more agitated, his finger jabbing toward my face. I will get you kicked out of this house. I will ruin your reputation and leave you with nothing. Watching his pathetic theatrical display, I suddenly found it all absurdly funny. Ryan, I began, my voice even. Do you really think that once I'm gone, everything the Millers have will become yours? Duh, he sneered. I'm the only blood heir. It was all supposed to be mine from the start. What's an adopted orphan doing mooching off our family anyway? You just got lucky. You used my parents' charity to get a good job, wear a few nice suits, and now you actually think you're one of them? One of the elites. You need a reality check, Caleb. You're a parasite. Just then, the doorknob turned. My parents were back. Ryan's expression changed in a flash. He rolled his eyes back and collapsed on his bed, groaning. Sensing the tense atmosphere, my mom asked what was wrong. I sighed, glancing at Ryan's performance. Ryan just called me a parasite and told me to get out of the family. Ryan clearly hadn't expected me to just come out and say it. His eyes went wide. According to the scripts he'd been reading, this was the part where the fake son was supposed to use passive-aggressive tactics to win sympathy. You're lying, he shrieked. You were the one bullying me. We'll see about that. Let's just check the camera. I gestured to the small, unobtrusive security camera in the corner of the hospital room. Ryan's face went slack, a look of pure panic flashing in his eyes. I smirked and pulled out my phone, dialing a number. Hello, Dr. Evans? It's Caleb Miller. Can you please send the security footage from VIP room 302 from the last 10 minutes to my phone? Yes, right away. Hanging up, I looked at the dumbfounded Ryan and said coolly, forgot to mention, Miller Industries owns a 51% stake in this hospital. I'm the majority shareholder. I have the right to review any camera footage, any data, at any time. The silence in the room was absolute. Less than 3 minutes later, the video arrived. I played it on my phone, turned the volume all the way up, and held it in front of my parents. The screen clearly showed Ryan ripping out his four, striding my bedside, spewing his venomous threats, and then faking his collapse the moment he heard the door open. His final line, I will ruin your reputation and leave you with nothing, echoed loudly in the quiet room. My parents watched the whole thing, their faces ashen. They looked from me to Ryan, who was now cowering in the corner. Ryan, my mother said, her voice filled with despair, Caleb isn't trying to take anything from you. My father jumped in, trying to salvage the situation. Son, I know you've been through a lot, and you feel insecure, but it's okay now. Your brother doesn't mean you any harm. Ryan, enraged that they were siding with me, completely lost it. Oh, great. So you're all in on it together. You're helping this outsider bully me. If you love this fake son so much, why did you even bother bringing me back? You should have just let me die on the streets. With that, he lunged for the window, pretending he was going to jump. We were on the 3rd floor. He wouldn't die, but he'd be seriously injured. My dad, terrified, threw his arms around Ryan's waist. Ryan, don't do anything stupid. That's not what we meant. The room descended into chaos. I watched the whole circus, feeling nothing but exhaustion and a deep ache for my parents. The son they had missed for so many years. How could he be this person? Ryan didn't jump. After a long standoff, he let our father coax him down from the ledge. When we got home, he locked himself in his room and refused to see anyone. My parents figured he was just throwing a tantrum and would get over it. I also thought that after being caught on camera, he might finally quiet down for a while. But I had underestimated the destructive power of a mind consumed by jealousy. 3 days later, I walked into the office and knew something was wrong. The receptionist avoided my eyes, and employees huddled in whispered conversations that immediately stopped when I approached. My assistant, Ben, met me in my office door, his face etched with worry. Caleb, we have a problem. He handed me his tablet. On the screen was a post from a popular Reddit forum, the title a blazing red. I'm the real heir to a fortune, but the adopted son who stole my life is trying to murder me, and my parents are helping him. An insider's story. In the post, written from a first-person perspective, Ryan told a heart-wrenching, fabricated tale of his tragic life. He claimed that after 20 years of suffering, he'd finally found his family, only to discover it had been taken over by an adopted son. He painted me as a scheming villain who tampered with security cameras to electrocute him and try to drown him in a hotel pool. Most outrageously, he claimed I had brainwashed our parents, turning them into my puppets, and that the entire family was now trying to drive him to suicide. He had even attached photos of himself in the hospital and a close-up of the burnout camera plug. The post was a masterclass in emotional manipulation, hitting all the right notes for online outrage. The comments section had exploded. OMG, this is disgusting. That fake son needs to be canceled. How is this guy not in jail? Rich people can get away with anything. Let's find him. We need to know what company this is so we can boycott it. A few lone voices of reason were quickly buried. Wait, wasn't Miller Industries founded by Caleb Miller from the ground up? I don't think his parents were ever involved. They were immediately dogpiled. Get out of here, you paid shill. How much is he paying you per comment? Asking for a friend. The OP is literally pouring his heart out, and you have no empathy? What is wrong with you? I watched the comment and share count climb, a cold feeling settling in my stomach. At the same time, my phone began vibrating nonstop, a flood of harassing calls and texts. The head of PR knocked and entered, sweat beading on his forehead. Caleb, the stock price tanked the second the market opened. Our partners are calling, demanding explanations. A few are already threatening to pull their contracts. I massaged my temples, baffled by this relentless, baseless animosity. From the moment he arrived, I had done nothing to wrong him. Why was he so determined to see me as his enemy? But I knew the people who would be hurt most by this were my parents. I immediately canceled my meetings and rushed home. As expected, the living room was shrouded in gloom. My parents sat on the sofa, sighing heavily. Ryan sat across from them, one leg crossed over the other, scrolling through his phone with a triumphant smirk. Seeing me, he tossed his phone aside. Well, the busy man returns. How's it feel to have your company going down in flames? I ignored him and looked at my parents. Did you see the post online? My mother nodded, her face a mask of pain. We saw it, Caleb. That boy, he's lost his mind. I'm not crazy. Ryan shot to his feet. I'm telling the truth. The people on the internet can see that. I looked at him calmly. Ryan, do you have any idea what you're doing? This is slander. It's illegal. Slander? He laughed maniacally. Go ahead, sue me. Sue the millions of people who are on my side. Haven't you heard of strength in numbers? Public opinion is with me now. You're finished, Caleb. He then turned to our parents, his tone hardening. Mom, Dad, the whole world is calling Caleb out. If you want to continue living in this city, you have to cut all ties with him. Now, as soon as you kick him out and make a public statement that I am the sole heir, the public's anger will die down. Otherwise, none of us will ever know peace again. My parents stared at him, horrified. My father's hand trembled as he pointed at him. Ryan, you're trying to destroy your brother, and you're trying to destroy us, too. You're the ones forcing my hand. Ryan roared. Make a choice. Your real son, or this outsider. My parents looked at each other, their eyes filled with despair. They didn't answer. Their silence only fueled his rage. You too, with your favoritism for a stranger. You and your precious adopted son will get what you deserve, he spat before storming out and slamming the door behind him. Silence fell in the living room. My mother looked as if she had aged 10 years in a matter of minutes. She rose unsteadily and came to me. Caleb, she choked out, her voice thick with tears. I'm so sorry. He's so agitated right now, and we can't control what's happening online. For your own safety, and to give him a chance to cool down, maybe it would be best if you moved out for a little while. I knew they were only thinking of me, try to protect me from the storm. But the thought of leaving them alone to face this felt wrong. It's okay, Caleb, my father said, seeing my hesitation and taking my hand. We'll handle Ryan. We'll teach him what's right. When this is all over, you can move back in. We're his parents. This is our responsibility to bear. You shouldn't be dragged down by it. Your company is everything you've worked for. Don't let him ruin it. My eyes stung. Even now, after everything, their first thought was to protect me from being burdened by them. I looked at their aging faces and the unwavering clarity in their eyes, and finally nodded. Mom, Dad, you've raised me for so many years. You've always been my real parents. Even if I move out, I'll still be your son. It's my turn to take care of you, so don't you dare push me away. Their eyes welled up, and they squeezed my hand, whispering what a good son I was. Just then, a commotion erupted outside. The next moment, the front door flew open and Ryan burst in, leading a chaotic entourage. There were streamers holding up phones on selfie sticks, self-proclaimed independent journalists with professional cameras, and a few thuggish-looking fans. Ryan, phone held high and streaming live, bellowed, "Hey everyone, today I'm going to expose this parasite live and take back what is rightfully mine." His mob stomped into the house without wiping their feet, soiling the expensive Persian rug. Cameras and microphones were shoved directly in the faces of my parents, who were still sitting on the couch, stunned. Mr. and Mrs. Miller, don't be afraid. We've got your back. Millions of us online, one of the streamers shouted. Is the fake son threatening you? Just nod, and we'll expose him for the monster he is. My parents had never experienced anything like this. They shrank back on the sofa, their faces pale with fear. What are you doing? This is our home. You're trespassing, my mother cried, trying to stand up and block them. Ryan shoved her aside. See, everyone, look what that man has done to my mother. She's been so brainwashed she's still protecting him. His eyes found me, standing nearby, and he pointed dramatically. There he is, the vampire who has been sucking this family dry. Instantly, a dozen cameras swung in my direction. Several people started moving toward me aggressively. I scanned the room, my voice low and cold. Anyone lays a hand on me, and I'm calling the cops. Trespassing, harassment, disorderly conduct. You'll be facing some serious charges. Something in my demeanor must have registered because they froze, hesitantly lowering their hands. Seeing his mob hesitate, Ryan flew into a rage. He pulled a stack of papers from his bag and slammed them down on the coffee table. Don't get cocky, Caleb. We're settling this today, right here, in front of the whole world. He snatched one of the documents and thrust it in our mother's face, his expression contorted with fury. Mom, this is a declaration of severance. You're going to sign it today, whether you want to or not. I need to make sure this fraud gives back everything he stole from me. You will cut all ties with him. From this day forward, whether he lives or dies is no concern of the Miller family. He won't take a single penny of this family's fortune with him. My mother stared at the cold, clinical document, her hand shaking uncontrollably. Ryan, do you have to be so cruel? Caleb has called us mom and dad for 20 years. Sign it. If you don't, it means you still care about him. It means you'll try to secretly help him later, he screamed, completely hysterical. The stress was too much for my father. He clutched his chest, his eyes rolled back, and he slumped sideways onto the couch. Mark, what's wrong? My mother shrieked in terror. I rushed over and checked his pulse. Call an ambulance. Now. But Ryan snatched my mother's phone. No one calls anyone. No one leaves until this is signed. Dad just fainted because Caleb stressed him out. As soon as we sever ties, he'll be fine. Are you insane? That's your father. I roared, lunging for the phone. Ryan hid it behind his back and yelled into his own phone's camera. Everyone, see this. The fake son is getting violent. He's trying to kill us all. The live chat exploded with curses and accusations against me. My mother looked at her unconscious husband, then at her deranged son. The light in her eyes slowly died, replaced by a look of utter, soul-crushing despair. Fine, I'll sign. Her hand trembling, she picked up the pen, tears streaming down her face. Caleb, I failed you. I'm not strong enough to protect you. She signed her name on the declaration of severance and pressed her thumbprint in red ink. Ryan snatched the document like a trophy, cackling into his camera. We did it, everyone. We won. We finally cut the cancer out of this family. I watched my mother's back, which seemed to stoop and shrink before my eyes, and felt a storm of emotions. The ambulance finally arrived. My mother and I went with my father to the hospital. Ryan didn't come. He was too busy popping champagne in the mansion, accepting praise from his online followers, and living out his fantasy of being the triumphant heir. At the hospital, my father was stabilized. The doctor said the episode was caused by extreme stress and a spike in blood pressure. He needed complete rest. My mother sat by his bedside, holding his hand, silent. I stood by the window, watching the city lights blur when my phone buzzed. It was my assistant, Ben. Caleb, it's bad, he said, his voice low, but I could hear chaos in the background. It's Ryan. He brought a crowd to the office. He's telling everyone he's the new CEO of Miller Industries, the sole heir. He's sitting in your office right now, barking orders. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, and what has he done? He's having your files removed, says he wants to audit the books. He's been yelling at the department heads, threatening to fire them because he doesn't like the way they look. Everyone is on edge. Where's security? They try to stop him, but he's waving that declaration of severance and a copy of his birth certificate around. And he still lives streaming, saying anyone who touches him is abusing an orphan. The guards don't know what to do. I let out a cold laugh. He had no idea the hell he was walking into. Let him, I said calmly. Turn on the security cameras in the main conference room and patch the feed to my phone. And tell the legal and finance departments to get the last 10 years of our original financial records ready. Will do. When I hung up, my mother looked at me, her face full of worry. What is it, Caleb? What has Ryan done now? I sighed. He's at the company. She stiffened, her weary eyes meeting mine. What is he doing there? He says Miller Industries is the Miller family business, I said evenly. And he's there to destroy me completely. My mother's lips trembled. After a long moment, she took a deep breath, a new resolve hardening her expression. She stood up and straightened her wrinkled clothes. Caleb, take me there. Mom, I'm going to set the record straight, she said, her voice firmer than I had ever heard it. I can't let him destroy everything you've built. You've carried this burden long enough. It's time to put it down. Half an hour later, in a top-floor conference room of Miller Industries, Ryan was lounging in my leather executive chair, his feet kicked up on my desk, idly spinning my fountain pen. Across from him stood a line of senior executives, their faces grim. Several streamers stood nearby, their phones pointed at Ryan, showering him with fawning praise. Wow, look at the presence of a true heir. Such a boss. Now, this is a real CEO. The other guy was just a cheap knockoff. Ryan preened for the cameras. See, everyone, this is my family's company. It was stolen by a thief, but now I've finally taken it back. Where's the CFO? Get in here and hand over the company's seal. And you, he pointed at a random person, give me a coffee. Hand ground beans. Ben walked in with a mug of coffee and placed it on the desk. Mr. Miller, your coffee. Ryan glanced at it disdainfully. This is lukewarm. Are you trying to burn me? Make it again. He swept his arm, knocking the mug to the floor, where it shattered, splashing coffee all over Ben's pants. What's with your attitude? You want me to fire you on the spot? Ryan yelled, jabbing a finger at Ben. Ben took a deep breath, his professional smile never wavering. Mr. Miller, according to company bylaws, you do not have the authority to hire or fire personnel. Bullshit. I'm the heir. This entire company is mine. Ryan slammed his hands on the desk and shouted to his online audience. Can you believe this? Even a lowly assistant dares to disrespect me. This place is full of Caleb's cronies. I'm cleaning house. I'm firing them all. At that moment, the large screen at the end of the conference room flickered to life. My face and my mother's appeared on the screen. The white wall of the hospital room was visible behind us. Ryan, are you done throwing your tantrum? I asked coldly. He jumped, then pointed a shaking finger at the screen. Caleb, you have the nerve to show your face? Hand over the company seal right now, or I'll sue you for corporate theft. And Mom, why are you with him? Come back here. This is where you belong. My mother looked at the raging sun on the screen, her eyes full of pain. She held up a thick folder of documents for the cameras to see, her voice hoarse but clear. To everyone watching, my name is Susan Miller. I am Ryan's biological mother and Caleb's adoptive mother. Today, I want to clarify a few things for everyone. The live chat went wild. Is the old lady being held hostage? The fake son is probably forcing her to say this. My mother ignored the comments. With a trembling hand, she held up the first document. This is the official business registration for Miller Industries. It was founded 8 years ago. At that time, my husband and I were selling breakfast burritos from a food truck. Our entire family savings was less than $2,000. The startup capital for this company came from Caleb, who worked 3 jobs through college and won a business plan competition. The legal representative, from day one, has always been Caleb Miller. My husband and I did not contribute a single dollar. We do not own a single share. Ryan's face changed. That's impossible. You're lying. You live in a mansion. You drive luxury cars. You weren't selling burritos. My mother gave a bitter smile and held up the next document. These are my bank statements from the last 10 years. Every single large deposit is marked family support. After Caleb's company became successful, he was afraid we'd struggle. So he started depositing $5,000 into our account every month for living expenses. The mansion, the deed is in Caleb's name. The cars, Caleb bought them. Ryan, you keep screaming that Caleb stole the Miller family fortune. My mother paused, a tear finally tracing a path down her cheek. The truth is, the Miller family never had a fortune. The truth is, we are the ones who have been living off Caleb's hard work. We are the ones who have been benefiting from his generosity. The room was utterly silent. The live chat froze for a few seconds, then erupted in a complete reversal. Holy yes! The plot twist of the century. So Caleb is the self-made millionaire, and he was supporting his poor adoptive parents? Then what has this real son been doing? Trying to steal the company his brother built from scratch. Oh God, this is so cringe. I can't believe I was defending that guy. Ryan stared at the documents on the screen, his face turning a ghastly white. He waved his hands frantically. No, that's not right. It's all fake. Mom, why are you helping an outsider lie to me? I'm your son. It's because you are my son that I can't let you continue down this path. My mother's voice suddenly rose in strength. She pulled out the freshly signed declaration of severance. Ryan, you forced me to sign this. You said you wanted everything that belongs to the Miller family. Fine. I'm telling you now, the only thing that belongs to the Miller family is the old condo in my name and your father's. Since you wanted to sever ties, since you wanted to divide the assets, let's make it crystal clear. She then turned her head to look at me through the screen, her eyes full of love and regret. Caleb, take the house back. It was bought with your money. We have no right to live there anymore. On my end of the screen, I nodded. Okay. Then I spoke to my assistant. Ben, call the police. We have an individual disrupting business operations, causing a public disturbance, and willful destruction of company property. My eyes flickered to the broken coffee mug on the floor. Ryan completely unraveled. He looked at the executives who were now staring at him with contempt. He looked at the streamers who were now filming his humiliation with glee. His dream of a lavish inheritance shattered into a million pieces. "No, I don't believe you. You're all lying to me," he screamed, trying to bolt from the room, only to be stopped by security guards who had just arrived. "Mr. Miller, the police are on their way. Please wait here." Ryan spent the night at the police station. Because his actions weren't severe enough for major charges, and because my mother couldn't bear to see him jailed, he was let go with a stern warning. But when he walked out of that station, his world had changed forever. He was no longer the tragic, long-lost heir. He was a national laughingstock, a pathetic joke, the poster child for entitled delusion. My mother and I checked my father out of the hospital. As my mother insisted, we call a moving company. In front of the mansion, movers were carrying boxes out to a truck, boxes filled with my parents' and Ryan's belongings. There wasn't much. The expensive furniture, the art, the appliances, they were all mine. They didn't belong to them. Ryan arrived, looking disheveled and defeated, just in time to see the last of the boxes being loaded. He ran forward like a madman, trying to block the movers. "What are you doing? This is my house. Who said you could move my things?" I stood on the second-floor balcony, looking down at him. "Ryan, this house is mine. I've already listed it for sale with a real estate agent. You can't just kick me out," he yelled, his eyes red and frantic, making one last desperate stand. "Where are Mom and Dad? They would never agree to this." Just then, a rusty old van pulled up to the curb. My mother emerged, helping my frail father out of the passenger seat. They had changed out of their expensive clothes and were wearing their old, worn coats. "Let's go, Ryan," my mother said, her voice heavy with fatigue. "Go where? I'm not leaving. I live here," Ryan yelled, hugging one of the marble pillars by the front door. My mother sighed and pointed to the van. "We're going back to our own home." "Our own home?" Ryan echoed, confused. "That's right. The apartment in the 5 Points neighborhood. Unit 602. That is the real Miller family home." Ryan's face went bone white. The 5 Points? That was an old, run-down part of the city with walk-up apartments and a bad reputation. "No, I'm not going there. I'm a young master. I can't live in a place like that," he shrieked, backing away. My voice was cold as I spoke from the balcony. "Ryan, you were the one who demanded we divide the family assets. You were the one who insisted on taking back what was yours. Well, this is it. This is what's yours. Oh, and by the way," I added, "the bill for the antique vase you broke, along with the other company property you damaged, will be sent to your lawyer. Make sure you pay it." With that, I turned and slid the glass door shut. Through the window, I saw Ryan collapse onto the driveway, sobbing uncontrollably. In the end, the large movers had to physically lift him and place him in the van. The old, beat-up vehicle drove away, carrying him and his shattered dreams back to the life he was supposed to have. Later, I heard things were rough for Ryan. The walls in the old apartment were thin, and the neighbors all knew him as the ungrateful, entitled son from the internet. Every time he stepped outside, he was met with whispers and pointed fingers. "Look, that's him. The one who forced his rich brother to take the mansion back, so now he's stuck here. Serve him right. What a horrible person." The online fans and streamers who had once championed him were now the ones leading the charge against him. He couldn't stand to be at school either. The other students mocked him relentlessly, and unable to handle the fall from his imagined grace, he dropped out. He began locking himself in his tiny bedroom all day, the curtains drawn tight, refusing to see the light of day. I heard he was diagnosed with severe depression, that he spent his days crying, too afraid to even leave his room. I asked my parents what we should do. They just smiled sadly. "He's 20 years old," my father said. "He needs to face the consequences of his actions. After how badly he hurt you, this is something he has to bear. But he is still our son," my mother added. "We brought him into this world, and it's our responsibility to see him through this. We'll stay here with him, get him the help he needs. Don't you worry about us." Looking at them, I felt like I was 17 again, standing outside the orphanage as they took my hand and said, "From now on, we're your parents." In that moment, and in every moment since, they have shown me the true meaning of those two words. It was because of them, because of their unwavering goodness, that I became the person I am today. And I knew that one day, I hope to be just like them.